Hey guys! So I know I've been talking for about a year now about making a video about my trip to Italy way back when I was in undergrad. And today is when it starts. It's going to be a series, probably about 5 vlogs long, I suppose. So basically, when I was in undergrad, I started off as an English major. And it's mainly just because I really liked reading and I liked grammar and things like that. So I decided that I would start off my college career as an English major, and that's what I did. So for my freshman year, I took, the normal freshman things, and I also had to take a humanities course, and I decided to take art history. And after taking an art history class, I decided to take another art history class because I really liked it and I really liked the teacher. So after the second one, I decided to take more, and I decided to take more, and sorry, Wilson is kind of like right here, but yeah. So I took art history classes basically until I was able to declare myself an art history major and only take like one more class and be done. So yeah, that's what I did. I decided to go ahead and do a double major in English and art history, and then I chose a minor in Italian because I had to take a foreign language for both English and art history, and I decided that since a lot of the famous painters that I really liked were Italian and a lot of the terminology was Italian, I decided that I would go ahead and take Italian. Plus, I had taken Spanish in high school, and I thought that it would be kind of close enough that it wouldn't be quite so hard. So yeah, I decided to take Italian classes, and it turns out that I had to take 4 Italian classes for my majors, and it only took 6 to get a minor, so I decided, why not? Just go ahead and take 2 more extra classes and I'll have a minor in it. So I minored in Italian. Anyway, I don't know when I found out about the Alabama in Italy program, but it was sometime after 9/11, because I do remember my mom was kind of wary about it and she didn't really want me to go, especially so close to that time. And so I waited until the summer of 2004. So that means 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I went to Italy and I studied for a month. I studied Italian conversation and I studied art history. And it was, well, I would say it was the best, but there were some things that happened that weren't that great. Like, I got homesick after a while and everything, and I was alone a lot of times while I was there, but actually that was very good for me because it really helped with my independence. So, anyway, I just thought that I would tell you a little bit about my time in Italy, some of my favorite stories, some of the things that happened while I was there, and I thought I'd go ahead and start it now, this week, because actually today is May 26th, 2014, and the day I arrived in Rome was May 26th, 2004. So it has been 10 years exactly from this day that I am recording this, that I landed in Rome, that I took my very first transatlantic flight, that I first stepped foot in a foreign country, and yeah. So I thought that this was very appropriate time to do this, kind of like a 10-year retrospective of, my favorite memories and some pictures and stuff like that. So, first of all, while I was there, I kept a journal, and I actually have my journal right here with me. This is what I wrote everything down in. There's so much stuff in this. Let me just show you how much I wrote. So, I started it right here and ended it right there. That's all writing journal stuff that I wrote while I was in Italy. It is 70 pages long, but that's like, I counted front and back. So 70 pages of stuff that happened while I was in Italy, and surprisingly, a great amount of this is the food I ate, because it's like I had to tell what every single meal was. I don't know why I decided to do that, but it's like I talked about what I ate on the plane. I talked about my first meal in Rome. I talked about, the last night in Rome, what I ate. It's like pretty much if I stopped somewhere in a piazza, I wrote what I ate down because I'm like, oh yes, I had a ham and cheese and all of this stuff. And there's so much stuff in here that is just about food. It makes me sound like a big fatty. But yeah, I actually lost weight while I was in Italy, which is kind of funny. But I walked everywhere and I drank tons of water. So if you guys, are looking for a weight loss program, there you go. Just walk everywhere and drink tons of water. So, yeah, so this is my journal, and I took some of this, I've gone through this, and I've taken some of my favorite stories, some of my favorite memories, and also some of the stuff that I didn't write down. I may tell you some of that too. And I have pictures. I have scanned my pictures, and yeah, sorry this is a really long intro, but I just wanted to let you guys know what I'm doing, and this is going to be what I'm posting for the next 5 weeks. So, yeah, here we go. On May 25th, 2004, my parents dropped me off at the Atlanta airport, and they couldn't go, like, directly to the concourse, I guess, because they couldn't go past security since they didn't have a boarding pass or anything. So I had to say goodbye to them and everything and walk through security, and of course my cell phone set security off because I didn't realize that it would do that because I had been on a plane one other time before, and it was before 9/11, so security was kind of lax back then. But yeah, so first things first, I set off the security alarm with my cell phone and felt like a big idiot. But then I made it in and got on my flight with no problems. I didn't know very many of the other people who were in my group. We had 3 people, 3 chaperones that were with us. 2 of them were, well, one was an Italian teacher, one was her Spanish teacher friend, which is kind of funny, and the other one was the art history teacher, and it happened to be the art history teacher that I first took my freshman year and absolutely loved her. And so that was very good. So I already knew those people, but I didn't really know the other students. So I kind of had to get to know some of them. We had a layover in Frankfurt, Germany, so it was about a 2-hour layover, I think. And I just kind of walked around the gift shops, and I do remember that I bought this children's book, and it was about the Charmin bear, if you know what the Charmin bear is. If you don't, the Charmin bear is basically this bear from commercials for Charmin toilet paper. And yeah, it was a children's book about the adventures of the Charmin bear in German, which I do not speak at all. And I bought it because I thought it was really cute, and I'm sure I still have it somewhere. I just don't know where. Probably at my mom's house somewhere in my bedroom. But yeah, it was really cute. I liked my little book. Sorry. So that's what happened in Germany, and then we arrived at Rome, and we took a bus ride through the streets of Rome, just kind of not really as a tourist thing, but just to get to our hotel. But we did drive by some of the famous places, so I got to see the Colosseum and things like that. And yeah, so we got to our hotel and we went out and we explored the city a little bit. And I was rooming with this girl in the hotel. And so we went out and we just kind of explored a little bit that night before we went out to dinner. And we found this church that was this big, huge church, and it looked like it was ruins. But you could go inside and everything, and it was really very beautiful inside. There were paintings and there were these big statues and everything. It was really nice. And later I found out that it was actually a church that had been built inside the ruins of the Baths of Diocletian. So that was interesting because I had just studied about it. And basically the baths were like public baths where people could come and bathe and swim, and it was like they had spa kind of stuff there, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, it was turned into a church, which I thought was pretty interesting. So the second day that we were in Italy, we went on a walking tour of the city, and it was a very, very long walking tour. I thought it would never end. And basically, we got up at 8 o'clock in the morning and met downstairs, and we grabbed some water bottles and took them out and just walked around the city until about 5:30. So you can imagine, it was a very, very long walk. I was extremely tired after it was all over. But I got to see pretty much everything. So our first stop on the trip was, well, we went to a couple of like government buildings and kind of looked around that, but it wasn't very interesting. But we stopped at the Trevi Fountain and we just kind of looked around there, and there were lots of people there because it's a very big tourist area. After that, we went to the Spanish Steps, and I got a picture of me on the Spanish Steps, which just looks kind of ridiculous because you can't really point me out unless I say, look, there's me. So, after that, we went and we ate gelato for the first time, and we ate right outside of the Pantheon. And as soon as we were done eating our gelato, we went inside the Pantheon and looked around and got to see the Oculus at the top. It was much bigger than I thought it was going to be, but I did take some pictures in there, and we got to see the tomb of Raphael and a bunch of different things like that. And we just kind of walked around in there, and then we went to Piazza Navona for a while, and there's this big fountain there that we stood at, and a lot of people who just came for the Italian classes didn't know anything about, the artsy kind of stuff, but I did, so I took some pictures of the fountain there. So anyway, the fountain there is called the Fountain of the Four Rivers, or Fontana dei Quattro Fiumi. And sorry, my Italian is very rusty, as you will probably be able to tell. Anyway, it depicts the Danube, the Ganges, the Nile, and Rio de la Plata, I believe. And it's really neat. If you've ever read Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, I can't remember if it's in the movie or not, but one of the murders takes place there at that fountain. Someone is drowned in it, I believe, which sounds terrible. Anyway, while we were there were these two guys dressed as Native Americans and like with these big like feather things and dressed in the garb and everything, and they had their flutes and they were playing songs, and the only two songs I remember hearing them play are Dust in the Wind and My Heart Will Go On. So that was kind of interesting to hear, but yeah, that was kind of funny. Let's see what else happened. We went to, what is the other place? We went to another little nearby piazza place, whatever. It was called Campo di Fiori, and while we were there, we ate lunch, and of course there was this one pigeon that was really weird because it was like doing weird things. It was walking really weird, and it was scaring all the other pigeons away. And I don't know if it was just a weird pigeon and something was wrong with it, or if it just knew that if it acted weird and got the other pigeons to go away, that it could eat all of the crumbs. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how pigeons' minds work. So next we went and we saw the equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius at Campidoglio, and from there we went and we looked at the Forum, the Roman Forum, and Palatine Hill and all of that stuff. So we got to see all of the ruins. And finally we went to see, the very last thing that we went to see was the Arch of Constantine and the Colosseum. So we got to go inside the Colosseum, and I took some pictures of like the inside and everything. It's all kind of grown up and looks really weird. But yeah, I got to see the Colosseum, so that was pretty cool. So after that, they kind of dismissed us and told us we could go do our own little thing, and my hotel roommate and I decided that we wanted to go see The Mouth of Truth. Now, if you don't know what The Mouth of Truth is, you should probably watch the movie Roman Holiday because it is a good movie. It has Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, and one scene takes place at La Boca, or The Mouth of Truth. So it's in this church, and basically it's this big, like, I guess it was some kind of a sewer cover or something. I don't really know, but it's got this face in it, and there's a hole in the mouth, and supposedly if you put your hand in there and you tell a lie, it will bite your hand off. And the scene in the movie, my roommate and I both had seen the movie and wanted to actually see the thing, and I kind of recreated the scene, and So yes, there's the first picture, of course, is of me sticking my hand into the mouth, La Boca della Verità, and the next picture is of me with no hand because it bit my hand off because I'm a liar. Yeah, so yeah, so you know all those dorky things that I do in these videos sometimes? I've been doing them for 10 years at least. So there you go. Oh geez. So anyway, the next day we went on a tour of the Vatican. So that means we got to go see St. Peter's Basilica, and inside I got to see Michelangelo's Pietà, and it was beautiful, and I couldn't take a good picture of it because it was behind glass and we couldn't use flash, and it was really dark and everything, and yeah, so I don't have a picture of it, but absolutely beautiful. And we got to just kind of tour around the building, and then we went to the museums and the gardens, which were really pretty also, and I got some pictures of some of the stuff there, and we went to see the Sistine Chapel, which I was blown away by. I love the Sistine Chapel, and we couldn't take pictures in there either, unfortunately, so I don't have any pictures of that. It seems like most of the things that I really wanted to see, you couldn't take pictures of. So yeah, but it was absolutely beautiful, and I'm so glad that I got to see it in person. Anyway, I also walked up the steps to the top of the dome and got a good sky view of Rome and everything around. So that was really nice. And I had lunch at some restaurant that was like right around the corner from the Vatican, and they had the best spinach ravioli I've ever tasted in my entire life. And if I had one meal to eat every day for the rest of my life, it would be that spinach ravioli because it was so good. Anyway, I told you I talked a lot about food in there. So anyway, after dinner that night, we went on another bus tour of the city, and we ended up at the Trevi Fountain again, where I threw in my coins because that's what you're supposed to do when you go to Rome and you go to the Trevi Fountain. So I threw my coins into the fountain, and there were several rose sellers that were there, and one of the chaperones, the Spanish teacher, uh, she kind of got annoyed at all the flower sellers and told them to get that shit out of my face, I'm allergic. So I always thought that was hilarious. But yeah, so that was it. That ended our last night in Rome. So the next morning we got up and I went down the street and there was this little pizza shop. So I got a little bit of pizza and didn't realize until, you know, a couple of minutes later that I was wearing this really light skirt. And apparently the wind had been blowing it up and I was like showing my panties to everyone and I didn't realize it. So yeah, there you go. That's my last memory of Rome. Showing my panties to everyone. Great. So I'll see you guys next week and I will tell you about some of my stories from Florence. And that's where I lived most of the time that I was there in Italy. So it's going to be split into two parts because there's a lot of stuff that happened. Anyway, I will see you guys next week. Bye!